I'm David Marsh. Welcome to Exploring the Human Journey.
Exploring the Human Journey.
Hi, and welcome to the show. I am so glad you joined us. I am so excited to share with you, we have on set Reverend Michael Malasnik. Now, he's probably the most mysterious guest that I've ever had on the show, and I'm so excited for you to watch this incredible video.
I just always knew at a young age that something wasn't right about this place. It was not what we were being told it was. I always had a big interest in science, mysticism, and things that were hidden. So at a young age, I started my journey in seeking the truth. You know, I kind of looked at the religions and I thought, okay, well, if the Christians are right, then obviously the Jews are wrong. And if the Jews are right, then obviously the Muslims are wrong. If the Muslims are right, then obviously the Buddhists are just whacked out, right? And so the more I thought about it, the more I looked into it, the more I realized whatever the truth is, there is only one. And so all these different religions, faiths, all pointed towards that one truth. Over time, science started rapidly advancing. And then science started saying the same thing as the Buddhists. So then I knew I was kind of on a track. Okay, so I've got science telling me this, I've got Buddhism telling me this, and I've got the mystics telling me the same thing. And it wasn't until later that I joined the International University of Metaphysics for a PhD program that I realized how metaphysical Jesus really was in his teachings. I've basically come to the point of understanding there's one reality. You look at all these different scientific things, Buddhists, religions, shamanism, they're all leading towards the same thing. And so that's duality. Seek the truth. It hides in plain sight. But you have to have eyes to see and ears that hear. And so the dual nature of reality is simply it, and this is where quantum physics really comes into it. All that exists is a quantum field of electromagnetic consciousness. Period. That's it. That's all reality is. That's what's called base reality. Whether you believe this is a matrix, it's a TV show, it's a dream, there seems to be some kind of a rule that whoever's running this show has to show us the truth. They have to make it available to us, but they hide it from us. And where's the best place to hide something? Right under your nose. Once you realize that all we are is a conscious observer, then the trick becomes how to shift your perception. How do you raise above the matrix and see it for what it is? Seek the truth, and it shall set you free.
Wow, rock star, you hit the high note. I love it, man.
I love my Led Zeppelin.
Oh, so I framed this as you are probably the most mysterious guest we've ever had on the show, and you're fascinating. I mean, you're Reverend Michael Malasnik. You're seeking to be Dr. Reverend because you're seeking your PhD program.
Correct.
And your work is about, hey man, this truth, it hides in plain sight, but it's hidden. My mind has been blown by spending time learning about that. So, oh boy, where do we even start? Give me some context. How did you get to this place? You talked about a religious paradigm and then you started studying for truth. So maybe start there.
Again, it goes back to when I was a young kid. I just knew something just is not right about this place. I just had that inkling, a knowing.
It's like an intuitive feeling, you
very
think?
intuitive.
Yeah.
And I don't claim to be psychic in any way, but I've always had gnosis. I've always had knowing. And I know things, I tell people things, and they tend to push back because they're programmed and they're in the matrix. Well, generally for some odd reason, after about 3 years, I don't know why 3 years, but all of a sudden, hey, Michael, you were right. I just saw this or just realized that. And then all of a sudden they start opening up and waking up a little bit.
Wow.
You know,
so
once you see it, you can never unsee it.
You can't
and that's the
unsee it,
warning
man.
for people, because
Yeah.
if you're comfortable if you're comfortable thinking you are this physical body and that you are in this physical world, then you want to stay away from me.
Yeah. Well, that materialism is, this is who I am, is my physical body. I identify as a male. I identify, race and gender, and then you have all the things about the human body that go with that. Whether you have some sort of a handicap or malady or whatever those issues are, you identify. This is my physical body, and this is who I am. But you start to study and explore, and you realize, well, wait a minute, you're not your body. You're a spirit having a human experience.
Exactly.
And you unraveled that mystery at a young age.
Oh, absolutely. And the funny part is, you think of it as, look at our body. So let's say you take some very beautiful model, okay? So the soul that's having that beautiful model experience is going to have, they're going to be treated a certain way. People are going to react to them a certain way because they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
Now you take a woman who may be frumpy or not attractive, or she doesn't feel she is, or what have you. They're going to have a different experience based on the body that they were given.
Yeah.
So the body dictates to a degree your experience. Just like some men are strong and muscular, some are not.
Yeah.
Well, depending on, whether you look like Robert Redford or you look like,
Pee Wee Herman or something.
Pee Wee Herman, right?
Sure.
So think about it. So as an example, I always think about, let's say, because I'm in so many business meetings, you go to a large meeting, all the tables are filled, you come in late. Oh, well, let's say you look like Robert Redford. Do you not think that there's going to be tables or chairs that become available to you? Because the girls are going to say, ooh, hey, you can sit here. I'll take my purse off the chair.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe you look like me and the purse goes on the chair. You're right.
Is that the experience you get?
That's all I get.
Michael's
like,
like,
this
everybody stick their stuff on the
exactly.
chair.
I'm sorry. No, I'll look to the bathroom. Then I'll be back. But it's your physical body that really does change your experience out there.
Yeah.
And once you realize that right there removes you a little bit. One of the tricks I love to do is, you got to realize we've been programmed. It's a program. Is cradle to grave. So you consider, you say, I am hungry. Well, who's hungry? It's the body. So one of the things that I like to say to people is, think in terms of reprogramming yourself. Okay, if this is your deal, if you really want to make change, because this is serious stuff. This isn't a small paradigm shift. I mean, I'm telling you to, be in this world, but not of it. Okay, so think of this. My body is hungry. You think, I am tired. No, my body is tired. When you do that, you start separating the real you from your body. When you're saying, I am hungry, I am tired, then you are becoming your body.
It's like, which I is it? Is it baby you? Is it teenager you? Is it 50-year-old you? Or is it 100-year-old you? What you is it that you're experiencing?
It's the eternal you.
Yeah.
It's the real you.
It's all of you. It's this whole you.
Yes. It's the you that survives when your body dies. It's the you that, look at the near-death experiences, people who have died and come back.
See, that's the big thing to me. That's what set me free on this journey. I went, there's something else after this.
Right? Does that not hide in plain sight? We see it all the time. You go to a funeral. You look at Aunt Maud. Right? Or Uncle Joe in the casket.
And Aunt Maud,
And then you got the picture of Joe with that big, bass. Remember when he caught that huge bass and he was so proud and happy? That's Joe. That's not Joe. So we see it, but yet then we leave, we go back to our, I am hungry. I am this. So I think the idea is the programming is so incessant. It's part of the matrix. That is the matrix. So you have to, just as you're continually programmed to think you are your body, that this place is what we've been told it is, the only way to get out of it is to fight fire with fire. So use the same methodology, because these advertising companies know what they're doing. What do? They don't just come out with a product. They hit you with it over and over and over and over and over.
And they give you the need for, you need this product.
You need this product.
Why. You're incomplete. This will make you feel fulfilled.
Exactly. Exactly. And so you need to fight fire with fire. And that's why I always recommend, my body is hungry. My body is tired. my body's getting angry at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there again, that separates you and it helps you identify with the real you.
Yeah.
Once you start identifying with the real you, that changes your perspective of everything.
Yeah.
And once you do that, you're done. That's it. You're going to wind up like me.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So you're going to get your
Warning.
mind blown today. So you talked about religions. You talked about whatever the truth is, there's only one truth.
Correct.
And so you started seeking, okay, religious system, belief system. You started looking at science, and you found out that Buddhism was a lot like science.
Very similar.
Talk about that.
Well, Buddhism is about emptiness
Mm-hmm.
and oneness. And if you look at quantum physics, let's specifically look at let's just look at the atom. So we're taught that everything is made out of atoms.
Yep.
Atoms are 99.9 to the 12th power empty.
Yep.
So that's widely accepted, and that's been accepted and known, I believe, we've known that since about the 50s.
Yep.
Okay, so
Been
here
a long
we are,
time.
2017,
Yep.
and we're still thinking this
Yep.
is solid.
Yeah, we're taught there is a proton and a nucleus. In the nucleus is a proton and a neutron surrounded by an electron, which are little dots on a piece of paper, and we can draw that and
Yeah.
put them on a periodic table. But they're fields of probability where that energy could be or could not be.
And when is the only time that they are where we think they are? When we observe them. So there's your Buddhist concept there again. So everything is one or nothing until you observe it. So I always think to the old saying, if a tree falls and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, at this level of conversation, there's many levels, and that's where this stuff gets really difficult. But at that level, the answer is no, because it's the act of observing that collapses the wave function into a particle, this stuff. So if you don't observe it, it doesn't happen.
So I'm going to be getting several ice cream headaches on this episode.
It should hurt. Dave, it should hurt.
Sure. Okay. So I don't know a lot about Buddhism because the religious context I had was that I had the one true system of belief. And so I didn't explore. So what are some of the tenets of Buddhism that you studied and saw how they correlated with that truth?
Well, I think if you look at it from the standpoint of resistance is suffering.
Oh, okay.
And you get into the observer. So what Buddha is saying is if you get trapped in your body, if you get trapped in believing this, then that's where your suffering will come from.
Yeah.
If you view it from a different perspective, then the suffering goes away. It's when you lose things.
Well, I've heard that you have that attachment and you have a desire for this, and I want this thing so bad, and if it's taken away, then I start to suffer, and so then it's about letting go. That's
exactly right. And see, I think this is very important, and I'm hoping that this is a very good time in history for my teachings, because we are at a point where we're losing things.
Mm-hmm.
I've been an insurance broker for 25 plus years, and I'm still hearing, in fact, I'm hearing it more and more. People are saying, I can't afford this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I had to sell the car.
Mm-hmm.
Kids can't afford the college. So we're in an age where people are losing a lot of material things.
Yeah.
So if you're stuck in your body and you're stuck in this reality, that can really suck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can.
Yeah.
And so that leads to depression. That leads to anxiety. That leads to anger.
Yep.
So again, if you can take the Buddhist perspective of it and be the observer, or Taoism, go with the flow.
Yeah.
And again, if you consider the video that we watched with the fMRI.
Yes.
So our brain knows, so if I go to pick up this cup, 7 seconds before I went to pick up this cup, I think this is my decision.
Yep.
And now I'm going to decide not to pick up the cup.
Yep.
7 seconds before I did this, my brain already knew what was going to happen.
Yep.
So that proves the Buddhist concept of being the observer.
Yep. There, in the show notes, you can go, I'm going to have a link to that video.
Good.
It's a YouTube video. It blows the guy's mind. He's investigating the fMRI. He's investigating consciousness, and before he clicks on the little pads, the guy can know, I think it was 6 or 7 seconds
Yeah.
before he knew which part of his brain was lighting up and saying, oh, he's going to select the right. And he just randomly goes, I think I'll pick right.
Yeah.
And it blows his mind because he thinks he's being conscious in that split second. And the guy's like, no, actually, beforehand it was pre-programmed. So then it goes, what in the world, do I have free will? Is there free will? Am I pre-programmed? And it blows his mind.
Absolutely. And that's your being the observer. That shows you're not in control.
Yeah.
Your body is not your own.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, this is so exciting. So you did lots of work and research. Talk about Freemasonry. You talk about objects such as the cube and the obelisk.
Yeah.
And in the feature video there, you have made the point to me that what's at the Vatican in St. Peter's Square, there's an obelisk. And on top of it, they tape on a little cross.
That's right.
So it's a spiritual symbol. But really, the reality is that it is a different symbol. And then you look at the Washington Monument, smack dab in Washington, D.C. Talk about that.
So at one level, you've got the obelisk, which is your pagan symbol for the sun god.
Yep.
Okay.
So they tape a cross on it.
Well, yeah, they tape a cross at the top of it. I love it.
So
I love it.
So
My mom doesn't love it, but I love it.
It's so funny.
So no, seriously, you see that. And again, I think of these cathedrals. I've been in New Orleans, in the St. Louis Cathedral
I like
there.
the way you say that.
New Orleans.
That's authentic.
Oh yeah, well I eat a lot of crawdads down there. And but you look at the cathedral. Not only do you have the obelisk in the back of it, but when you're in the cathedral, what is their tile? It's the Masonic tile. It's black and white tile in a cathedral. So I've got the obelisk in the back of it.
Yep.
I've got that on the floor, and then you look up and you've got the all-seeing eye shining down. It shows you this stuff. And again, if you go to a Masonic temple, like the one here in Phoenix, when you're in the room that enters the adytum, or where they do their rituals, on the door, knock and it shall be opened. Ask and you shall receive. So they're using Bible quotes in the Freemasonry. The Masons are big on the obelisks. And again, Jack Keane and Boaz are the Solomon's temples.
Interesting.
Okay. So there's a truth that's being shown just with different paint, different stories, different allegories.
So the black and white tiles.
Yes.
It's like I'm pushing buttons on the jukebox, okay? They
Keep pushing the buttons. I love this stuff.
It's
Very
so
little
good.
gets me this excited.
Oh,
Except Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin.
Well,
I got to
you
give
know.
them that. But so think of it this way. So the duality of nature, what they're wanting to do is remind you of the duality of nature, or of reality. So think of the white as your quantum field. There's your Buddhism. All is one.
Wow.
When all is one and one is all, right? And then the black is the particles. So everything exists in a waveform. So everything is one, or it's nothing.
Yeah.
And when you observe it, it collapses into the particles, which we perceive as this world.
Yep.
So we get trapped in the black. And the black is a square, much like a cube of space, the black cube of space. So, and I'm sure you want to get into the black cube of space.
Yep.
That's also everywhere. If you Google black cube on the globe, you'll see it in Canada, you'll see it in London, you'll see it in America, you'll see it everywhere. They're showing us, okay, and the cube of space is basically the matrix. It is a esoteric concept that even I can't grasp the full totality of it. But basically, the cube of space comes from the North Pole of Saturn. So if you get into...
Okay, hold on. What?
Okay.
The cube of space comes from the North Pole of Saturn.
Correct.
Okay.
So if you look into occultism, esotericism, okay, Satan is Saturn. Okay. Saturn is Chronos. We've heard of Father Time, Father Space.
Yeah.
We've all heard that time and space are nothing but a construct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
The rings, everything is vibration. Think of Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
If you want to know the truth of the universe, think in terms of energy and frequency. Okay?
Good.
So the North Pole of Saturn has a cube on it, a hexagram. How many places do you see a hexagram? Think of in the middle of the Jewish Star of David. There's a hexagram. It's everywhere. But the idea is the cube of space is the matrix. Have you ever heard think outside the box?
Sure, yeah.
Where do you think that comes from?
Wow, never thought about it.
Well, sure. Think outside the box.
Because I live in this box.
Because you live in the box.
So it all looks normal to me.
It all looks normal to you. And so what I'm trying to do with my ministry is help people live outside the box.
Wow.
And that's where seek the truth. It shall set you free.
Wow. Your website is
eyesthatseek.com.
On your website, you've got this picture, this blew my mind, of a box unfolding. So the top of the box comes this way and comes this way, and the sides fold flat down. And what does it make? It makes a cross.
It makes a cross. And who's our Savior?
Jesus. And then it folds back up, and the sides fold up, and it becomes a box again.
A cube. It's
and
the cube of space.
Oh, there's another ice cream headache. What?
Right. So the cube of space. So you think Christ saves. Okay. In the metaphysical sense, it's not Christ the man, it's Christ consciousness.
Yep.
Okay. So hence again, I am in this world, but not of it. You are in this world and of it.
Yep.
Hence the human conditioning is suffering.
Oh.
You see how all this ties together?
Yeah.
So from my perspective, what I'm trying to do for people is to help them. First, you have to see the cube. You have to see the matrix. Bruce Lee says, a man who walks in darkness, or a man who doesn't know he walks in darkness, will never seek the light.
That's good.
Okay. So first you have to know you have a problem. It reminds me of Alcoholics Anonymous, right? Isn't the first step to recovery to admit and see I got a problem?
Sure, yeah.
So the first step of freeing yourself is to understand you're in a box.
Yeah.
You're in a box. And through Christ's consciousness, a higher level of consciousness and thinking and perceiving, that opens the box.
So do you think that somehow we have developed, or belief systems have been developed by whomever, to act as something for us to separate us? Is that what you think that's about? Or, is it about to unravel a mystery or unravel some? What do you think the belief systems, how does that play into this grand scheme? Do you feel like there's some purpose for differing belief systems, like they somehow keep us from knowing the truth right away, that it's a mystery to solve or unravel? What do you think about that?
That's a very deep rabbit hole. And the metaphysical perspective that you're referring to, or the dilemma that you're referring to, is like a Mobius strip with what would be called these days as a conspiracy theory.
Oh.
It's one and the same. How come we don't know this? If all this science is out, if everybody knows these things, again, quantum physics shows the wave function only turns into a particle when you observe it.
Yeah.
Why isn't that taught in schools?
Yeah.
So I do believe that this is an experience. It's all part of the experience, and it's to evolve your soul. So the real you is having an experience.
Yeah.
Whether you choose to have no interest in this and stay in the box and you're happy in the box, okay, that's your experience. If you choose to seek the truth, you're going to have a completely different experience. And again, I'm going to suggest, although very different from what most people have, it's so much better. It's free. You can be yourself.
Yeah. And almost, if you realize you're in some sort of a matrix system and this is the illusion, it kind of gives you the liberty to be able to have play, to be able to experiment, and to, well, maybe I'll test out the law of attraction. Maybe I'll see how love connects us. It gives you that opportunity. And I frame that in a positive sense, but it kind of gives you the opportunity to kind of be greater than just the simple narrative. You live, you die in between, you pay some bills, and that's all this is about. It's a one and done, and then you're judged by some sort of a divine. And I was like, is there nothing more? And then the answer is yes.
It's all just a ride.
Yeah.
It's like going to Disneyland.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, what another world or experience that is. But you see it for what it is.
Oh.
Think about that. So when you go to Disneyland and you got all these Donald Ducks and weird things going on everywhere, It's cool, right? It's fun. I love the Haunted Mansion as an example, okay? So, but we see that for what it is. And so it's an experience, so we're outside of it watching it, and it's really fun. Now imagine that you thought you were actually in it. So now we go into Alice in Wonderland type of stuff, right? You can be pretty scared with this stuff, and it's limiting, and it's fearful, and it's not good. So it's just like living in the Matrix. I'm losing my house, I'm losing my car, my kids are hooked on drugs, whatever there's all sorts of things that happen. And so when you're in it, it owns you, it controls you. That's being in the box. And when you can observe it, it's like going to Disneyland. It's all the same stuff. But now you're seeing it from a detached perspective, and now all of a sudden it's not so scary.
Yeah, I've thought of the scenario of there being a screenplay for a movie, and you're reading through the movie, and then you give it to some actors, they're producing a movie, but the actors believe that this is real, and you're like, whoa, 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 no, cut. Hey, we're just making a movie. This is just all pretend. And they're like, no, this is real. And you're like, no, it's not. There's the crew. We're just pretending. We're making a movie here. But they're so convinced, no, this is reality. And we're like, it's not reality. Well, maybe the movie will be better if they believe it. Sure, it's real. Keep going. Maybe that's the best performance we'll ever see by someone who believes it's real.
I think you hit that one on the nose. And I'm going to say a couple things. One, The Truman Show. Right?
Is that not a foresight of what's going on?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So again, they show us. They show us the truth.
They do.
All right. So you've got the Truman Show, and there's many other things that show us that. I think of Shakespeare. All the world is a stage, and we are but merely actors playing our parts.
Incredible.
So again, the truth is out there. It's everywhere. It's telling us this. It's a matter of seeing it for what it is, recognizing it. And then you really have to, again, if you really want to make the change, then you have to use you have to fight fire with fire. So you start reprogramming yourself with this new understanding, and it takes a while. And then that's your neuroplasticity, where your brain cells, the way you think wires your brain. Okay, so if you're constantly thinking a certain thing, your brain's going to eventually connect the neural nets, and it's going to lock into that. That's why people are prejudiced. Or they, I hate this, or I don't like that. Well, it's because their neural nets are set that way.
This is the only truth I know, and you have to believe what I know. This is the only way, whatever that is, political, religious, whatever that is.
Right,
oh, this is so good. All right, conscious observer.
Yes.
So, you're not really your body. You're the conscious observer.
That's right.
So I think that's interesting because I've heard meditation teachers talk about when you're in meditation and these thoughts are coming at you and you're thinking, okay, nope, just be calm. Well, who's saying that? Who's saying to be calm? Because it's really, you've got this, Michael Singer calls it your mental roommate. You've got this other thing. You've got this ego thing, and you're the conscious observer. And so you're finding that you're the conscious observer looking at the universe.
Absolutely. The one you seek is seeking you, right? St. Francis of Assisi type of thing. So you think about, have you ever had a thought, maybe you get angry, somebody's like, man, I really want to do this to you. And then all of a sudden this other voice comes up and says, hey, Dave, no, that's not right. You shouldn't be thinking that. Okay.
Sure.
That higher thought, that's you. Okay. And that's all part of it, is understanding that he or she who watches your thoughts is you. So that's who you need to identify with. And there again, your thoughts, they're not your own. And again, we can go back to that 7-second fMRI, and there's many other things that show us that. So if you can identify with the voice, or the who's watching your thoughts, now you're getting out of your body. You're getting out of that cube of space. So that's of ultimate importance. Again, I keep going back to it. You are in this world.
You're in this world, but you're not of it. Yeah, that was always framed to me, that you're special and you're maybe a little superior because you know the truth. So you're in the world, but you're not of it. And you're like, I don't think that's the way.
That's Christ consciousness.
It's about the consciousness of being in the system, but you're not of the system.
Right. So you're above it. You're observing it. You see it for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what sets you free. It changes everything. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. So that's why I'm very big on making sure with people, hey, look, are you sure this is what you want? Because if you pursue this and you take the steps necessary, it's not easy, it's not overnight. Because guess what? We're in our 40s, almost 50. That's 50 years of programming I've had.
Yeah.
Right? So to overcome that, you got to expect it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
But it's worth doing if you want to escape and see things for what it is.
Yeah. It gives a greater sense of relaxation and okay, because we get stuck in fearful mindsets of being here, saving for retirement. Will I have enough? Is the insurance going to cover the thing? What you just get into all this systems of fear, and if you just go, ultimately, it's here for me to have an experience. It gives you a lot more freedom because you were somewhere. You came here, and then after you're gone, you'll be somewhere else.
Yes.
And it's this big journey. So what do you think this whole thing's all about?
I think it's an experience. And I think it's a way for your soul to, that brings in karma. Okay. So in my PhD program, as an example, with the University of Metaphysics, they teach you have two forms of karma. You have the karma that is brought from a past life that you now have in this life experience. You have to deal with it. Okay, I think we're all pretty familiar with that one.
Yeah.
Then you have what some people would call an instant karma, right? Where you can actually see the effect. You do something, and then here comes the effect. But when you start understanding the laws of nature and you understand how this place works, and that brings in the science. When you understand how this place works, then you can play with it. And then things really change. So as an example, I always think of this. So think of someone who, let's take a woman who gets divorced. All right. Usually when you're going through divorce, it's been bad times, things aren't good. And, we all tend to pack on a little bit of weight over time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so she goes about life. It is a certain way. And then all of a sudden it's like, I want to start dating again. So what does she do? She loses a bunch of weight, starts dolling herself up, right? And then men come out of the woodwork. Okay. Right? Yeah. It's just the way it happens.
There's the dudes.
There it is. There they are. Okay.
Yeah.
But again, is it her physical body that's doing this, or is it her expectation? What came first? Was it the mind to the body, or was it the body to the mind? So you start putting that out. She expects it. I mean, she puts on those red high heels and dresses like that, and right, that vibration goes out. It's like, I'm hot. Yeah, I'm just going to wait for the guys to show up, and we do
because we're dudes.
We're dudes, right? And there you go. That's our role to play. Yeah. We're dudes.
Very simple.
It's simple.
Very simple.
Right?
That's good. Okay, so part of this journey has been plant medicine. So I had an experience where I got to do an ayahuasca ceremony. And a little while ago, earlier, you said we're here to experience a ride like at Disneyland. So when I had this ayahuasca ceremony, I drank the medicine. Sometime later, I had my eyes closed, and I could see the words up on top that said, "Enjoy the ride." And I was like, "Enjoy the ride?" I'm like, "What does that mean?" And I felt or heard the words saying, "You're here to have an experience. Enjoy the ride." And I went, "Oh, wow." And about the time I was done with wow, over on this side, I saw the words beliefs. And I'm like, beliefs? What does that mean? So there's that consciousness, and then the dum-dum me going, "Oh, I wonder what that means." and I hear beliefs. What you believe becomes your reality. What you believe becomes real.
Oh, is that true? And
I was like, wow. And it was a profound experience. I did it in a safe space with a shaman. And I enjoyed that journey. While I was there, the shaman said, if you're having a hard time, if you feel any blockage, we can do some shamanic snuff.
Yeah, famous last words.
And so I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So I meet Reverend Michael Malasnik, and we're having a wonderful conversation. We're in a parking lot after an event. And Mike says, hey, I have some shamanic snuff. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I know what that is. No, I don't want to throw up. And you're like, oh, well, you know, it can help clear your chakras out. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, all right, well, you know, whatever, okay, cool. And so in the video, we show the little device, and it's got the two little straws there, and you take it and you puff, and it throws it into the nostril, into the system, and wow. Felt like my head was on fire, did not enjoy it. Mm-hmm. I threw up. Mm-hmm. You framed it where the left nostril is death, and it's going to clear, and then the right nostril is rebirth.
Correct.
And so, of course, sweet Lady Gail, she said, no, you got to do it again. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that again. No, that was death. You got to do rebirth. So bless her heart, she made me do another one. So, and you were there. You're like, oh yeah, she's kind of right. Do it again. Man, I got really sick. So I know that might be part of your journey. Not something I'm interested in re-experiencing.
Yeah.
How have you incorporated plant medicine into your journey?
Boy, I love the shamanism. Boy, I love that. And a lot of it is rooted in Gaia, Mother Earth.
Yeah.
So the shaman blows this stuff up my nose. Whoa, that hurt. Yeah. It hurt, and it hurt bad. I'll tell you what. Wow. Yeah. And it was on my crown chakra. So there's your chakras. It was on my crown chakra. Interesting enough, I couldn't get out of my head. Yeah. And so then he comes back, you know, and he says, okay, you got to do the second one. I was about ready to go nuts. I was like, there's no way I'm going anywhere near that stuff. No way. And so I did it again. I mean, he kind of had me, right? You know, where am I going to go? And he did that, and that hurt like you know what as well. So I learned there's something going on with that. So me being the technical and the research type of person that I am, so I started really looking deep into this and understanding more of what it was. It's all about Gaia. Mm-hmm. And I know, as you had told me, when you were under the ayahuasca, you felt everything was one.
Yeah. I felt the amazingness of this oneness. And then I saw the divine, which was like this circle, and then it had like this triangle on it, like it looked like a bathroom door. When you're trying to decide which am I the straight line or the skirt line, but it was like a combination of the two. It was weird because it was like it was both the symbol for male and female in some sort of a triangle, so it was weird. But it was going like this, and I was like, what is that? And it said, this is what we are doing. We're creating everything. It's all one thing, but we're creating this wonderful universe of parallels and paradoxes and truths and not truths. We're having this wonderful experience. And it said, everything that you are going through, everything, it's just a construct. And I was like, whoa, everything is just a construct, and you get to experience, but it's all one thing. And I'm like, it was crazy. And then I said, well, what if it's just one thing? Then isn't that like really lonely? It's just really one thing, and that's all that there is. And then it smiled and it said, that's a construct too.
Well, how lonely is a drop of water in the ocean?
Exactly. That's really good. It's really good.
I mean, that's what it is. And very honestly, I think, and this is what, after years, and I'm going to tell you, I really started my journey in getting into esotericism, etc., when I was 12.
Esotericism, please
Esotericism. So esoteric means knowledge meant only for the few or the initiate. In other words, that's where you have your orders, mystery schools, and as you progress, then they tell you more and more. Yeah. Occult simply means that which is hidden. It is not the devil. It is not Satan. I mean, if you think about, doctors perform occult blood stool samples. Well, the doc's not looking for the devil in your poop. They're looking for something that's hidden. Okay, so a cult, well, I say that because everyone's been programmed to think a cult, ooh, scary.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the idea. They're keeping you away from the truth.
Yep.
They put the truth out there, but then they scare you away from it.
Yep.
Okay.
I was the kid in the 80s where we watched the videos of how Led Zeppelin was the occult and because of the backboard masking. Yeah. So I was on the other side of that.
Of course. And maybe that's my love for Jimmy Page.
I know,
right?
I know.
I wonder about that. But when you see that and you understand that, then you come back to this. Now you've seen the Freemasons' white tile versus the black tile. And I think the problem for all of us, quite frankly, is, you can say, yeah, I get it. It's all wave functions and it's, everything is energy and reality is an illusion, albeit a very persistent one.
Yeah.
Right? Again, all this, we're told all this.
Yeah.
But if you've never experienced the other side, you have nothing to compare it to.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So, I can in my mind get it. Okay, all right, Einstein and all this stuff. But until you've seen it and experienced it, you have no, it's kind of like I'm from Minnesota. If I live in 20 degrees below zero, and then somebody says, oh, well, Phoenix is hot. Okay, well, I can understand they're 120 degrees. I'm sitting here at 20 below zero.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it's hot, but do I really? You got to be in Phoenix when it's 120 degrees to know what 120 degrees feels like, right?
And likewise, the cold. I've heard Phoenix people that were in 54-degree weather at a football game for their kid on a cold day, and they're like, this is freezing. I'm like, no, it's 54. It's cold.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I felt those extremes.
But if you've never known, if you've only looked down, how do you know what up is? You right?
You gotta have your binaries.
There's your binaries, or your duality.
The duality of up and down and big and small and hot and cold. Yeah.
Otherwise, you have no frame of reference.
I feel like the psychedelics allow you to have a different vibrational level to connect to some spiritual thing. Now, I absolutely want to frame that sweet Lady Gail, my wife. She is a meditator. She's really taken this on, and she has had the most significantly profound experiences through meditation to where she's like, I know you've done, a plant medicine thing. She goes, but I don't feel like that's what I want to do. I feel like my journey is to find that peace within and that level. And she has shared with me her experiences of just transcendent, where she couldn't feel her body. And she's had waves of love, waves of consciousness. And at some point, she says if she didn't have her iPhone, giving her information that her session in her space was over, she would stay in there and didn't know how long it would be until she came out. So you don't have to have plant medicine to have an experience. I think it's maybe a easier way to facilitate that.
I would agree.
A shortcut or a way to do that. But it's not necessarily something that everyone needs to do. There's some people that you can find that just through calming that mind and that meditation and connecting with that.
Absolutely. All roads lead to Rome, right? And everyone's on a different path. And so whatever, I'm going to be Machiavellian here, all right? The end justifies the means. The end justifies the means.
That same experience, you're like, oh, there's something bigger going on.
There's something bigger on. So however somebody arrives at that, and so if you can get to that place through meditation, do it. But once you get that feeling, then you have the duality. You've seen the other side. That's the veil of Isis, right? Isis's veil. That's the illusion. So this is called the veil of Isis. So you pierce the veil. Or okay, you may have seen it as lift the curtain. What's behind the curtain? The curtain is the veil of Isis.
Veil.
Okay. So however you achieve it. In fact, I'll tell you, my first experience that was similar to that was I love biking. And I was biking down this trail, very nice, lots of lizards and animals and birds and trees and everything was really nice. I'm just biking along. And then all of a sudden, everything got kind of fuzzy. I wasn't seeing the walls, I wasn't seeing the trees, I wasn't seeing the birds. It just kind of got real fuzzy, and it kind of came to that proverbial tunnel. And then you had the tunnel, and then the tunnel just kept getting smaller and smaller. And I'm just biking, and what happened was I lost all sense of myself, of the outside world, of everything. There was no time, there was no space.
Wow.
And I couldn't tell you how long it lasted. I didn't hit any trees or wreck or anything. And then all of a sudden it just went away. That was long before I learned any shamanism. So I mean, I achieved that just through biking, and I think that was meant to be. I mean, how else? I mean, I bike a lot. How does that happen? But that showed you, out of many, one. It took me out of this place, and then that changed my life. I mean, because after I got done biking, I went back home, and believe me, I was just like, what just happened to me? I mean, what on earth was that? So however you achieve it, I don't care. The end justifies the means. Get there so you can experience it. And once you've experienced it, then you have a point of comparison. Because until you have that point of comparison, it's all conceptual.
So you've got work you're doing. You've got ministry work to help people, to set them free. Again, the website is eyesthatseek.com. So when people reach out, how do they connect with you? What is it that you provide? How do you help people?
Well, at this stage, I'm in the infancy of building my ministry. I would ask people to go to my website, and I'm very huge, as you'll see very quickly, on quotes and verses, because I believe that whether it's Shakespeare, or it's Carl Jung, or it's Jesus Christ, or it's Einstein, they're telling us the truth, but you have to see it for what it is. And so I would ask people, look through the sayings, try to connect the dots. Okay, connecting the dots is very important. As you've seen, I've got videos on there to kind of show the concept. So you read what Carl Jung said, now you can see how it applies in real life. And then my goal is to help people via it be seminars or other engagements or one-on-one, so whatever works with the person, to get them to that point. Again, the end justifies the means. If you're serious and you want to break out of this matrix and you want a whole new experience, it's going to be a process, and every process is going to be different. Right? Whether you're meditating or you're doing shamanic things, everyone's unique and everyone's different. So we just need to identify what works for the person, and then you stick with it until they break through. That's the work. Once you see it, and once you have that aha moment, right? Once you, oh, I get it. Well, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. When the student is truly ready, the teacher disappears. That's when I go away. My work is done. So I'm simply here to help people get to the other side, to pierce the veil, to see who they really are. And once that happens, they're free.
Dude, you're awesome. There's so many things that we could just keep working through. I feel like we've hit the main things that I want people to have that introduction to you.
Thank you.
To see, the reality of what you think is real, the circumstances you're going through. It's just an experience you're having. You're going to keep going. You're going to keep having more experiences after you've had this lifetime. There's a lot of things in the universe. And part of my journey is to share stories of other people. I'm a searcher, looking for the truth, because I'm trying to overcome that religious anxiety of like, oh, what's going to happen? I hope I'm okay. I want to, and I was never afraid that I was going to go to hell, but I was afraid other people were, because they didn't have the same belief system. And that gives you a lot of anxiety and a lot of, you feel depressed, you feel sad, and then you feel angry at the divine. Why would you make a system like this? And the more you begin to seek and the more you unravel, you will find the truth. You will find, well, what is it that the writers of the texts were really trying to tell us? And you bring that to light, the symbolism, the things that are in plain sight. You're amazing. Thank you for your
Thank you.
journey. Thank you for sharing it. I like to end the show with the guest telling us, if you didn't hear anything I said the whole episode, this is the one thing that I want to make sure you know. What would that be?
I don't know why, but I keep thinking, yes, there are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. You know where that came from. So, well, Stairway to Heaven,
There
Led
you
Zeppelin.
go.
So, but I would say that if nothing else, understand that this is a journey. It's an experience. It's a ride. That's all this is.
Yeah.
And it's much like the characters in a video game.
Yeah.
And the higher self is the one holding the controller. You're the one on screen jumping up and down every time your higher self hits the button, right? We think we're that player.
Yeah.
You need to shift your perspective to be the one that's
Yeah.
above.
Oh, that is so good.
But seek the truth. It hides in plain sight, and it does set you free.
Yeah.
Have fun. Enjoy this place. That's all this is. It's can you imagine going to Disneyland and not having fun? Have fun. Maybe that's the bottom line. Bottom line.
Have fun.
Thank you. So erase the other stuff. Have fun. It's an experience. Have fun.
Yeah. Awesome.
Have fun.
Reverend Michael Malasnik, thank you so much.
Sir Jake. Thank you.
It's been a blast.
Oh, yes.
I'm David Marsh, and you've been watching Exploring the Human Journey on YouTube as a video and listening as a podcast. If you would like to help continue the conversation, please consider supporting us by visiting patreon.com, where you can support us on a monthly basis and get extra bonus content. For as little as $1 a month, you can make this show sustainable and help continue spiritual consciousness. You can also help by following us on Facebook and Instagram. For more information about the show, find us online at exploringthehumanjourney.com.